Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about accepting yourself. Accepting yourself. That is one of the things that you have to learn to do if you're going to grow to be spiritually mature. You must learn to accept yourself. One way that we do that is drawing close to the Lord and studying and internalizing and understanding the fact that He accepts us 100% in any situation, in any circumstance, with any emotion, with any outburst, with any ugliness, or anything that comes out of us at any time. We are 100% accepted by Him if we are in Christ. We are also 100% approved by Him in Christ. So what you can do is to start out by learning and studying and believing that the truth that He accepts you, that He fully understands you, and that you have His approval if you are in Christ. Okay? That's the main way we do that. Also, there is a secondary way where you gather with other believers that are safe and authentic, and you start to experience those people understanding you, those people accepting you, those people Jesus was skin on as approving of you and bonding with you. And that will also help you grow in accepting yourself, because if God accepts you 100%, and if others, you've experienced them to some degree accepting you, then you can learn to accept yourself. The main way I have learned to accept myself is because I wanted to be completely aligned with the Lord. And I'm willing to give up anything and everything in order to be aligned with Him. And so that resistance that I had to accepting myself fell away when I put it in that context. So apart from that, I want to look at accepting yourself and some of the things that can be in the way of that, okay? Way back when we were in the womb, when we were a year old, 2, 3, the first years of life are incredibly important. And most of us don't remember those years, and that's for a reason. But 80% of your brain develops during the first 3 years of life. So what has happened to you the first 3 years of your life is the core of who you are. That is the core of your very being. If you were passed around a lot, if you were given up for adoption, if you were neglected or abused or traumatized by other siblings, or you didn't get to spend enough time with your mother or whoever your caretaker was, all of those things will influence you for the rest of your life. That's 80% of your brain is formed those first 3 years. So remember that. And in this learning to accept yourself, let's remember these things. In the very early years, I'm talking about the first 3 years. First, let's look at this. Those years, during that time in your life, attachment is everything. Attachment is the very first step of being a human being. That is the very first step. And if you don't get that, you are a building that has no foundation that is going to fall, basically. So attachment is everything. That's what we do first when we come into the world. We bond. Supposed to bond with our mother. Our mother's supposed to be in love with us. She's supposed to be calm and cared for and supposed to nurse us, have a healthy diet, bond with us, respond to our needs, all of that. And a lot of us didn't get all of that or much of that. So, but I'm just making the point that the attachment is everything. That first bonding experience is the foundation for the rest of your life. So attachment is everything. In those first 3 years of life, everything we do is designed to maintain that attachment for our survival. We know that we need that attachment, and every choice that we make as a child is subconsciously made around that attachment. So, in that reality, we forsake anything that interferes with the attachment. For example, if your mother had a temper and screamed at you when you were little, you would endure that abuse, that verbal and emotional abuse, and even if it's physical, to maintain that attachment with her. You would somehow in your mind do the mental gymnastics and justify it and say it's okay because I have to have this attachment because she was the only one that was going to care for you. That's what we do. We forsake anything for that attachment. We also will forsake our own feelings to maintain that attachment. Any ideas, our wants, our needs, our true hearts and our true selves, anything that's unique about us, we will forsake it. Anything that the mom or the caretaker doesn't like, we forsake it. A lot of these things are inside of us that we forsake. And yes, we're not using the highest bit of reasoning, but it is a survival mode that we're in. So during these years, over time, a lot of us begin shutting down slowly, because if you have to forsake parts of yourself to keep that attachment, those parts of yourself are who you are. And when those parts of yourself start dying off and being discarded to keep an attachment, you slowly start to shut down. That's why by the time someone's a teenager or an adult, a lot of times they look like walking death, because they have had to forsake so many things of who they are to maintain the attachment and having their basic needs met. So we begin shutting down. We start to hide ourselves, because if the caretaker or the mother didn't like it when we were hyper and we thought that was so fun, that was a big part of who we were, then we stopped doing that, see? And we were hiding that part of ourselves. And we will agree with the caretaker that that part of us is bad, and so in that we divide ourselves on the inside, and we can even divorce our own hearts and abandon our own hearts. Do you see where I'm going with this? We begin shutting down, we hide ourselves. This is all to keep the attachment. We reject ourselves. We will side with the adults, whether it makes sense or not, whether it's good or evil, it doesn't matter. We will side with an abusive parent to keep the attachment, and we will agree with what we presuppose they think in our minds that we are bad to keep that attachment. Anything to keep the attachment, and we will divorce or abandon our own hearts and our true selves. We'll throw it away to keep that attachment. So I want you to think about that when you are in the process of accepting yourself and growing closer to the Lord and lining up with Him, because a lot of these things have happened to all of us. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just what happens in a fallen world where there is sin. It ruins everything. It ruins everything. But in the Lord, He can raise anything from the dead. So my encouragement to you is to draw near to the Lord, trust Him, and know that whatever you submit to Him, He raises from the dead. So submit your whole life, your whole heart, your whole being to Him, and He will over time raise it from the dead. So when He puts an idea in your head, or He brings you someone who is telling you about some group or whatever, listen to that. Be curious about it. Check it out, okay? When you pray for something and the Lord is bringing you the answers to the prayer, you don't want to ignore it, okay? You want to have the eyes open to see when you pray this that He's going to respond. And so you got to have eyes open to be able to see and respond to the answers that He brings you, whether it's from a screen or a person or some coincidence, okay? That would be a divine appointment. And then, of course, after you've kind of processed these things and thought about them, I want you to ask yourself a question. Ask yourself this question: am I ever upset? If you are ever upset, that is evidence that that part of you that gets upset is your own. It's your own, and it's still alive, and it's still active. So that part of you that gets upset about things is your part of your true self that is still there. So I'm not encouraging you to be upset all the time, but I'm just saying that that part of you that is upset, that disagrees, that part of you that has conflict with other people is the real part of the real you that's still left in there. So don't forsake that part of you that's left over because you want to keep an attachment with somebody. Hold on to that part, because if you never get upset, you never disagree with anyone, and you never have any conflict, that means you are dead on the inside. You're dead. You've forsaken all of yourself for the sake of an attachment. All right? So remember that. Hold on to any parts of you that are still there, that are the true self, and you can end up using that as kind of a base to build the rest of your true self that you can call back to yourself from all the years that you gave away your heart, that you gave away your needs, that you gave away everything that was important to you. You can call those places back to build on the true self, the bits of the true self that are still there. And that will be evidenced in these things that I've mentioned. Being upset about something, disagreeing, conflict, that means that part of the true self of you is still there, and you can build on that, okay? So I hope that you'll do that, and remember that when you're in the process of accepting yourself. So I'm just encouraging you to warm up to the idea of accepting yourself. You have been chosen by God. If you are watching this channel, if you're new to the channel and you're not a believer, well, the Lord has drawn you here for a very important purpose. And the main one is that you're probably a lost sheep that's looking for your home. So in the process of drawing near to Him, you're going to want to learn to accept yourself. And so that is the main point. And so I just want you to remember these things that we've talked about in the process of accepting yourself, so that these things won't stand in the way, that you'll be able to recognize them when they come up, or in your prayers, and He's giving you these memories about things where you need to forgive and heal from in accepting yourself, that you will recognize those that we've talked about in that process of accepting yourself. It's a very important way to line up with the Lord. So I hope this is helpful, and I'll see y'all next time.